Now, hi everyone. Welcome to the second webinar of the series of how to scale your startup into the booming Latin markets. A couple of weeks ago, we had a webinar about Latin America and the general aspects of the economies. Now, this time we are going to talk about the Pacific Island countries, which are Colombia, Peru, Mexico, and Chile. With some of the experts from each ecosystem and this economic block. But before we start, let me remind you, you have the opportunity to ask questions through the GoWebinar application. Ideally, we leave questions to be answered at the end of the webinar. So let's start. First, I'd like to introduce you the panelists. Our first panelist is Pedro Lopez Vela. He's in Mexico. Pedro has more than 19 years of national, foreign, and international experience in fundraising and investment in startups, instructing entrepreneurs, consulting and advising startups and businesses. Pedro works different tech projects in Mexico, either with the public or the private sector. Welcome, Pedro. Do you hear us, Pedro?
Hi, guys. Happy to be here.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. So our next panelist is in Chile. Marcus Schrader is a German investor and entrepreneur with over 25 years of international industry and market experience. Marcus has lived and worked extensively in Europe, USA, Brazil, and Asia, and is focused in Chilean market now. As founding partner of MGMS Consultancy, he develops the startup ecosystem through direct coaching and mentoring of technology startups. His mission is preparing business for the global investment and growth. MGMS has offices in Santiago, Chile, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. Welcome, Marcus.
Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to participate.
Our third panelist is based in Medellin, Colombia, Carlos Jaramillo. Works for the Business Development Department at Ruta N, one of the most important tech hubs we have in the region and the icon of Innovation Center in Colombia. Carlos is a professional with a global vision of businesses and open mind facing other cultures. These skills in negotiation development and during the program let him transform ideas into proper strategies into diverse international duties. His main interest is in knowledge of environment and the interact of the organization with it. Welcome, Carlos.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Good. And now our last panelist is now in Lima, Peru. Jensu Pardo is a serial entrepreneur currently joining different initiatives. Between his role, he's part of the Universidad Peruana de Ciencias Aplicadas, UPC, working in entrepreneurship area and supporting the creation of business plans, giving lectures about management consultancy and management fundamentals. Jensu is also involved in some fintech projects. He's going to talk about that later. Welcome, Jensu.
Hi, how are you? Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. You know what? I just forgot that I supposed to pass the slides. So here we are. So let's start with the questions now with webinar. Now, our first question will be, any of you can start, you can let me know. How would you describe your community? What are the strengths in your community? Who wants to start?
Okay, I'll go ahead. Marcus, talking from Chile, Santiago de Chile. Asking about the community, Chile, the government of Chile has done a lot of investments over the last 5 to 7 years to start building an entrepreneurship ecosystem here in Chile with focus on mining, with focus on agriculture, on fish, now expanding to salud, that means healthcare, life science, but also, of course, as it is normal in all, let's say, IT, digital application-related activities. the focus over the past years has really been attracting as many as possible local as well as international startups, and it was a strong focus on increasing volume of startups, not so much being too critical about the percent outcome. You know, when we hear about accelerators like Y Combinator who speak about 60% success rates, we are far away from that, but that's okay. And one very well-known part of that is the program of Startup Chile, which is an early-stage incubator which is offering programs for startups from abroad as well as local to come to Chile for a 6-month program supported by $40,000 of equity-free financing. There are many other programs, but this is only one example. There are many other incubators, more than 20, working with similar funds. What is just about to grow now, and what was a challenge, was the follow-on investment and also the early stage funding. And there is in the process at the moment. The program was launched, but the funds are not launched yet. A new program which is now focused on supporting the follow-on investment, the early stage investment. We expect that those funds will come live in the next 3 to 6 months. Corfo is at the moment reviewing those. So the strength, I would say, is really the funding in early and in seed stage. Weakness is follow-on investment, also support in follow-on investment, not only investment but also about how to commercialize globally, how to participate in an early stage and follow-on network. So the focus has been very strong in the seed stage, but follow-on is a challenge, and we are working on that at the moment to support that more.
So it's the government of Chile, which is the most, I would say, straight right now in Chile to support entrepreneurs with financial support for them. This is one of the straits in Chile, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Good. So who is next? Who wants to talk about what is the strait in the ecosystem? Peru, Colombia, Mexico?
I'll do it.
Colombia.
Well,
okay.
Not a problem.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. So, okay, basically, Medellin, Colombia, I mean, we are known as the second largest city of the country. Our GDP represents around the 8% of Colombia's GDP, so it will tell you a little bit about the dynamics of our economy. I'll start describing our community with one company. Is that EPM is the third largest company of Colombia after Ecopetrol and Terpel. That is the oil company. EPM is the utilities company, and the 7% of their profits year over year comes to fund Ruta program, and that can only be invested in Ruta programs. So I will describe our community as an emerging community, but we have a lot of money to invest in entrepreneurship, in support to entrepreneurs from here until 2025. Our main goal is to create jobs. So we have a soft landing program. Through that soft landing program, we have attracted around 90 startups from 16 different countries that have created around 1,700 jobs in our city. And we support companies from research and development until they put a product into an international market sustainably in time. That's basically what my community is about.
Okay, good. So we can say now that in Colombia, Medellin is actually the tech hub of the country, right? It's
yes,
the one that is supporting the most. Okay.
Yes, and basically our companies are the 70% of the companies that go through our soft landing program are companies from ICT mainly.
Okay, good. So who is next, Peru or Mexico?
I'm coming.
I can go.
Okay, hello guys. Here in Peru, okay, it's me?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, then
Yeah,
here in Peru, we can describe our community of startups that is very, very new. We are so new that the last we have a small community at about I don't know, something like 2 years ago. We started in the thing of startups. Then we are very, very new. We are a really small community of startups, and because of that, we are a little backwards in respect to the other countries that are here in that chat. We have the government with a lot of interest to promote startups and entrepreneurship. And startup entrepreneurship. They are putting something like in 2014. They start with a fund of around $20 million for the next 5 years to grow startups in Peru. But we have to think that the strength of this community and this country is that it's a virgin territory. There's not a lot of startups here. But there's a lot of interest from the government and other stakeholders like universities and companies to grow this community and to help startups to be better here and to make a hub in the country here in Lima. Most half of the not half but almost a third of the population of Peru is based on Lima. Then it's the only big city in the country, and we have a very, very interesting hub here. I say a small community, but with a lot of strengths and with a lot of potential of growing.
Good. So the strength I hear will be like if Peru is new on this and is taking, the lead to fund the startups right now. To the government, either the government and private institutions are right now ready to get, those startups some funding and some support, right? This is the phase that Peru is facing right now. Good. So Pedro, you're the last one talking about Mexico. So Mexico is such a big country. What are the traits? I know there are many now that I was in Monterrey a few days ago.
Yeah, there are like many things to consider when you're talking about entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship and innovation in Mexico. One of the first things is exactly what you're saying. It's a very big country, and we have many different areas or regions that have different vocations. So one of the things that is very well known, at least inside of Mexico, is that Mexicans have been very entrepreneurial for many, many years. The thing is that, first of all, maybe we just didn't know it was called entrepreneurship, and the second was that we didn't have that much method or innovation. But Mexicans are always finding ways to develop different techniques or methodologies or manners to do the things that they usually do in a different way. So it is not rare to our culture, right? Nowadays, and probably for the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so, entrepreneurship has become a very important topic even in the public sector. And basically today you have probably 2 organizations at the federal government at a level of vice ministries. One that has to do specifically with entrepreneurship, and the other one that has to do with science and technology, that is very well aware of the importance of entrepreneurship, and they're so occupied pushing for that that there's even some programs that are related to entrepreneurship and science that are being worked with the government of the United States, such as I-Corps and the National Science Foundation. The ecosystem has grown a lot, is very vibrant. We are basically having big events like Inc., the one you went to Monterrey, or Semana del Emprendedor, which was held in Mexico City every 2 or 3 months. And between those huge events, Semana del Emprendedor even broke some Guinness records of attendance and stuff like that. You also have smaller events where you only have like 1,000 or 2,000 people attending, and you have those every week, maybe even more than that. The view of the whole ecosystem is basically a responsibility of an organization called INADEM, the National Institute of Entrepreneurship, and those guys are basically just getting all the frame that needs to be in place to have a more established community. The work that they've been doing for the almost 3 years that the institution was created has been amazing. They've been funding even part of the VC ecosystem in Mexico. They started with an ecosystem that had less than 15 VCs in Mexico, and in the last couple of years we're up to 37. They're pushing for more incubators. They're talking to people from universities and academies so that they can build capabilities in entrepreneurs. I think that we are at a stage where basically we're trying to go to the next step. It's a very interesting market. Some organizations from abroad are opening offices in Mexico. The case of 500 startups, Plug and Play opened offices about a year ago. It's becoming a very important way of creating a robust economy in the country.
Sounds good. So Mexico, really, this trade there is about diversity, right? It's not just Mexico City, it's Monterrey, Guadalajara, and the whole quantity of incubators and different programs that you guys have. More than 500 incubators as I know Mexico has worldwide. Okay, so good. Let's move on to the second question then. Here, what kind of startups international entrepreneurs could find in your community? If somebody from outside goes to Colombia, Peru, or Chile, or Mexico, what kind of entrepreneurs or what kind of startups are going to find in your community?
Should I start again? Let me just bring 2 or 3 examples. There has been, I would say, there has been a wave through Startup Chile, where a lot of startups came from abroad just because it was easy, relatively easy, to get $40,000 and get a place to sit and develop your startup. So it was not very focused and topic related. On the other hand, it has attracted a few, and one example is Recorrido.cl. Recorrido will also expand to the other Latin American regions very soon. These are 5 Germans who identified that traveling with the bus needs a platform where you can book the tickets, and nothing existed, and they're growing very fast. This is an example, and it was even financed, that's why I bring the example, by Mountain Partners and with a local investor, together with local investor Christoph Schiess. That means it was financed by an international venture capitalist. They also came later into Startup Chile, but they started independently. What is happening now is that while the wave which I explained in the beginning, where everybody took, let's say, kind of advantage of the availability of money, will continue on the one hand. On the other hand, we are now starting to look at more targeted approaches, and one approach is really on the healthcare life science center, where currently there is a movement to establish a large laboratory network. 2 are established already, Santiago, Puerto Montt, and another one in Santiago is coming up. And there, University of California, means UC Davis, is engaged, and other international organizations are engaged to bring more life science startups to Chile, given the focus of the government to build life science as an additional arm for growing the industry. So I would say, on the one hand, opportunities for everybody. On the other hand, an increasing focus. Another focus now is into mining. So that means if there are Australian or Canadian startups which are focused on mining, there are 2 new funds coming up. There are programs coming up to support those initiatives. So specifically for Canada, I think that is an interesting aspect as well.
Good. Thank you so much, Marcus. What about Peru, Junsu? What kind of entrepreneurs the international startups may find in Lima?
Well, in Peru, the kind of startups that have come in the last 2 or 3 years are mostly for things like really we have few that have success. The most known one is Cine Papaya. That one is
got it.
Yeah, it's a startup that to sell tickets from cinemas. And we have few more. Mostly they are entering in things of how you call sales in internet. We are starting really, but the few last 2 years we have touched a lot of things because in Peru there's no a lot of startups, and the field is open to everybody. Are entering a lot of startups from outside, from Chile, a lot of them, and from Argentina, from a lot of countries, because as I say, it's a very virgin territory. But mostly the government is pushing to have startups, and it's helping startups in all kind of subjects. We are very interested, for example, in things like fintech. The fintech community here in Lima is so small. They are starting to enter some startups in fintech, but the market is huge. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, that they have no access to a traditional banking system. And we need this kind of entrepreneurs, but the field is so open to everybody.
Sounds good. Pedro, what kind of entrepreneurs are in Mexico? What foreign companies are going to find there?
It's becoming a very interesting market nowadays, because we're having both national and foreign entrepreneurs in Mexico. We are starting to have guys that not only come from Latin America, but even from Europe and the States. The areas where these guys are working, I would say, has to do a lot with, in a way, the needs of the country, but also has to do with the vocation of the region where they're working. You're going to have probably entrepreneurs in some more industrialized cities like Mexico or Monterrey or Guadalajara, where you're going to have a very interesting community related maybe to fintech, or maybe to biotech and life sciences, telecommunications and stuff like that. And then you have other organizations in other areas that sound a bit more rural, that are related to agriculture. Some interesting applications of drone technology, for example, both for topography and processes that have to do with agriculture. So I would say that basically you would have a bit of everything. And then the other thing that is also happening that is interesting is that some of the guys that were part of the scientific community, that were developing basic science research and technology development, that were part of the phenomena of people that went to study abroad and maybe stayed there to do research, are either coming back or creating joint ventures with organizations here in Mexico. So we're also having a very interesting community that is more science-based, that is starting to create technology and developing startups that have to do with, I would say, geekier kind of technology. There's a case of guys that are starting a project with CERN, and those are kind of examples that we wouldn't have seen a couple of years ago in Mexico.
Okay, and now Colombia. Carlos, you mentioned that more than 70% of the startups in Medellin right now are ICT. Will you say what is the other 30%? What they are doing more than ICT?
Okay. Basically, I mean, the city of Medellin is a city that has more than 6,600 companies. And the city decided to focus all their institutional efforts in economic development mainly in 6 industries. We're talking about tourism, health, energy, ICT, construction, and textile and apparel, right? But Ruta N is only focused on 3 of them, 3 of those industries, that is energy, health, and ICT. In terms of our soft landing program that I told you, like in the case of Mexico, as Pedro was saying, we have either companies from Colombia, local companies, and also foreign companies. Through this program, our soft landing program have landed in Medellin around 90 companies from 16 different countries, and the 70% of those companies are mainly from ICT, and the 60% of them are foreign companies. The rest 40% of those companies are local companies. That's basically it.
Good. So now the third question is more related of, sorry, going backwards. Here. What kind of solutions is your ecosystem looking for? Like this time is, okay, we know, for example, in Chile, we work a lot of mining, right? So these solutions will be in that way, in mining, or will be, you know, in other sectors, those startups that may be contributing from international perspective to your community. What kind of solutions will be those ones? Who will start? Mexico?
If you want, I can start.
Okay. Okay, Carlos. What kind of solutions are looking in Colombia?
Okay. So as I told you in the question, Ruta N is mainly focused on 3 industries, that is energy, health, and ICT, right? But we are not industry agnostic. It means that it doesn't matter if that solution is coming or that company is coming from other industry that is not inside one of those 3 industries that I just told you. What it matters is that it's doing something related to science, technology, and innovation. So, but I'm going to tell you the opportunities we have identified where they can be a world-class player in these 3 main sectors of the economy, of these 3 main industries. In energy, we're looking, I mean, we feel that Medellin has an opportunity in smart grids and microgrids, electrical energy storage based on batteries, alternative and renewable energy, smart grids and smart measurement, hydrogen storage, and biocarbons from algae, specifically in the energy industry.
So international, yeah. So international startups may find energy sector will be very worth it for them to move to, for example, to Medellin, or to actually get, you know, get locals to develop some kind of projects in that area. Yes,
both. I mean, they will find opportunities in Medellin, and if they peer with locals, they can probably go to the Latin American market, also to the Pacific Alliance market with these locals. If you want, I can tell you the other segments that we have found. In the health industry and in the
those segments. Let's leave it for the next question, because in the next question actually we are going to talk about subsectors. Okay. Thank you, Carlos. So Jetsu, you were talking about fintech, right? So is that the sector that you probably are right now? Yeah.
Yeah, fintech is one of the sectors that we are looking for in our ecosystem. But there's plenty more. As I said before, for example, here in Peru, the same like in Chile, we have a big industry of mining, and it's another sector that is a virgin sector for startups. We don't have any startup that is focused on mining. The same happened with tourism. We have a huge tourism sector here in Peru. We have Machu Picchu and other great marvels of the world here in Peru, and it's another sector that there's not a lot of startups focusing on that. Even we need the startups here for things like simple as retail, for example. We are starting to sell, the companies are starting to sell here on internet, and there's few startups that are focusing on retail too. We have a huge opportunity in Peru for any kind of startups and in any kind of solutions that they want to give to us. And the government is trying to push to bring startups to Peru, to grow startups from Peru, and they are not focusing really on one area or another one. They want to see startups growing because we have big opportunities here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jetsu. Marcus, more than mining sector and the ICT solutions that we have in Chile, what are the sectors that you think an international startup will be very interested in to try in Chile?
Let me first say one word about mining. Here in mining, besides, everybody thinks mining is only the hardcore mechanical devices, etc. But there is a new trend towards biomining, where solutions to separate materials out of that means separate the valuable material out of the material which is extracted from the earth, etc. That is an area which creates a lot of interest, and not only that it creates interest, it also has infrastructural support through some other institutions, like, for example, Fraunhofer. Fraunhofer is a German research organization which is highly established here and has an extremely well-established laboratory environment and technology environment. So, and they are very interested in supporting that direction in cooperation with startups, etc. So biomining, if there's anybody with biomining, will be very welcomed in Chile. And I indicated life science. The life science environment is growing. Also their initiatives, I repeat myself, Fraunhofer, but also Pfizer just established a major research center here. So and then what is called Santiago Lab Space, offering an environment for startups with ecosystem, with laboratory environments, with co-work environments, etc. So definitely on that side, a big interest. And then of course more the traditional areas, like in foresting, like in the winery industry, in salmon, food-related activities. For example, we have a startup here from the United States. Pedro, you mentioned drones. They are applying drone technology for big data collection in the wine industry. Very interesting startup with highly skilled professionals. So this entire field, bringing technology solutions to that agriculture industry, where I include forestry, fish, etc., is also very highly welcomed here.
Good. So, Pedro, what is in Mexico? Why a startup should go to Mexico? What's the country looking for?
That is a very hard question because actually we believe that we're kind of like the land of opportunity, and it really depends on the person that is going to be answering the question. There has been a very important change in the recent months about energy, so that could be a very important area. There was a huge restructuring of the law system that we have regarding oil and gas and renewable energies and stuff like that. So basically, there you have a huge opportunity. Mining is an industry that we're paying a bit more attention than before. All the processes that have to do with bio something related, especially to waste and stuff like that, is become very important in the recent months. Drones, robotics. Life sciences, there was a national institute that was created about 5-7 years ago that is very focused on biotech. Transgenics, again, is a very important topic. Tourism industry is important. It's probably the third industry that we have according to GDP. Remittances and everything that has to do with fintech is also very important. I would say that almost anything that doesn't have to do with just putting a taco shop or something like that is very important. We have opportunities almost everywhere.
Sounds good. So I think we pretty much respond the next question, that is what kind of subsectors we are is currently booming in our communities. But I think Carlos has, you wanted to say some subsectors, right, that are booming up. So could you please let us know?
Yes, in the last question I answered about the energy industry, the subsectors of the energy industry. In terms of health, in the health industry, we have identified opportunities at nanomedicine, tissue engineering and cell therapy, e-health, tropical diseases, therapeutic agents, diabetes, and biomedical informatics. And in the ICT industry, we identified opportunities in mobile applications based on video games, mobile applications based on health, Internet of Things, obviously, is really important, and big data, cloud computing, and smart services outsourcing. That's basically it.
Good. So somebody else wants to say something about subsectors?
I want to.
Yeah,
just to talk about the fintech here in Peru a little. It's a huge opportunity here, fintech, and most because the government have passed a law on July this year about factoring. They create a type of invoice that all companies now that can use. That is a negotiable invoice to do factoring. That represents a huge opportunity for factoring companies, and we are talking about a market of about 1 million small companies that are needing that they need to have finance and loans at lower rates than the banks here, and that is a huge opportunity for startups.
Good. Let's then move on to the next question. We are going to talk about angel investment. This is a tough question because here in Canada and US, angel investment may have other kind of regulations. As you know, every country and Europe is different. You know, how is angel investment in Latin America and how it works? Who wants to start? You, Carlos?
No, I mean, this.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay,
I'll go. As I'm engaged in 3 of 4 of the existing angel investment networks, it's relatively easy and clear. We have let's say 4 formalized angel investment networks in Chile. It's not a lot, but it's a start. And those are, let's say, of different focus. One is purely focused on female businesses, and it's also a group of female angel investors who are in that. That means they are really looking for female entrepreneurs to support them. I have not really been engaged with them in detail. I know some people of that network, so I don't have anything about the process. But the focus is clear. Then we have the three others. One is DATNEOS. DATNEOS is focused on seed stage investment. They don't have a concrete investment focus as such. They are always creating small funds, kind of angel funds. Once they have identified 4 to 5 startups where they believe they have a good potential, and then they go out to find angel investors who are interested. That means they are collecting the money of those angel investors. Most of those angel investors are first-time investors, so you could ask the critical question: are they really angel investors? Because they are not going to participate actively as an angel investor in a startup, but they will be more or less investing through what is called DATNEOS. So it's a way to get money. The tickets, they usually invest in between 100, 150,000 US dollars per startup, and the DATNEOS team as such then stays engaged with the startups, and also provides the link to a mentor network, which is also called DATNEO without the S, which is out of the same organization, and with that they provide the support for the startups, the mentoring, the coaching, etc. So that is the one. Then we have what I would call an angel investor club, that is Santiago Angels. Also there, it's not a group where you have a lot of individuals who select startups, but it's a group of 3 people who are more or less making a pre-selection of startups, and then in the type of demo day event they present 2 people who have money. These are people like some family offices, individuals, executives, etc. And I will say why. The reason is that in Chile the experience of angel investment is still very, very low, and the risk averseness needs such a type of mediator who does a pre-evaluation of the startups and then does a recommendation to the investors. Their average ticket items go from 300 to 650,000, so they do bigger tickets, and they are currently in the process also of raising a supporting early stage fund. And then last but not least, the oldest and where I'm most engaged with is Chile Global Angels. This is probably the one which comes closest to a real angel network. They're also engaged with NACA, they're engaged with ACA in the United States. These are serial entrepreneurs, these are former investors. There are also some family offices involved. And here the process is that there's also let's say a search committee, a group which is fixed and part of Fundación Chile, which looks at the end and identifies the startups. Then there is a committee which does more or less the evaluation of the startups, and once they are evaluated and recommended, they are sent out to the network, which is about 50 people, 50 angel investors at the moment. And then it depends on finding the 1 or the 2 or 3 who are involved. Let's say you find 3 or you find 4 angel investors who are participating. The one will be defined as lead investor. The one who can help the startup the most will be defined as a lead investor, and working like you know it from the US as an involved angel. but also representing the other groups. So this is really the formalized angel investment. You find a lot of individuals, but it's a hard search to find them. Individuals who have money, family offices who have money, but this is not organized, and I would not call them angel investors. These are people who have money, and when you're lucky, you find them and they give you some money.
Okay,
Yeah.
those are the typical investors that we know there. But also, I think one feature is that investors in Latin America, they are actually not mentors necessarily, right? They just provide the financial part, and that's
Exactly.
the first thing that you said at the beginning.
Yeah,
So that's the typical situation, I think, in the other countries. But let's see what says Carlos. Carlos, what is the situation in Panjo?
One last comment on that. That is why Neos created the mentor network. This is why Fundación Chile currently has, I'm part of the founding team there to create a mentor network. It is because this nature of mentoring, coaching, as you know it from other countries, specifically from the North American, European angel investors, does not exist.
Sounds good. So, Carlos, how is angel investment in Colombia?
Okay, so I'll talk specifically about Medellin, but because Medellin, Colombia has Mexico is a country of regions, and Medellin specifically has Ruta N leads what we call the Smart Capital Network. The Smart Capital Network is a bet we have to join all those existing energies in terms of funds in one place, and is led by Ruta N. So obviously, in terms of institutional funds, the capital city of Colombia, Bogota, is the leader. But in terms of VCs, Medellin is the leader in the country with the VCs. In terms of VCs, with the Smart Capital Network. Our Smart Capital Network has 20 VCs that they have around 250 million US to invest in different projects and ideas, and in different stages. So it can be either seed capital, early stage, or growth. Ruta N's strategy in this field is to become a limited partner in each year over year in one of those funds. And we have created around 2 funds since 2013. The average ticket is around 200,000. At least that was the average ticket last year, 2014. It's still consolidating the figures of this year. And in 2014, 24 companies got money without income. I mean, without selling anything. And 20 of those companies were from the ICT industry. So that's specifically what I wanted to say. In terms of angel investors, I mean, we have a network of VCs. If a startup comes down here looking for investors, we can advance in our district, in our technology district. Our job is to connect them with this Smart Capital Network, and one of the players of this Smart Capital Network is the Angel Investor Network. So during once in a month, year over year, they have like a conference where the startups go to present their ideas to these angel investors, family officers, individuals with money, and from there you can get the money you probably need.
Sounds good. What about Peru, John-Soo?
Hi guys. Well, in Peru, as I'm telling all the time, it's a very new market, and then we have few capital angels here in Peru. Just this year and last year has entered Alta El Dorado. We have 2 Angel Ventures Peru. we have Capital Social, we have in the board, but there are few and they are starting. We have not a lot of money running in angel investors, and the government is trying to the investors to come to Peru. We have this year we promote a plan, an annual plan from the government, from COFIDE, to promote capital investors and capital angel investors to come to Peru. That is going to help because the government is going to create a fund to match the investor of the capital angel investors to help with public funds. Then we are expecting them to arrive to Peru and to start to finance our startups here. But again, it's a new market. It's a great opportunity to investors here, and we have few of them. They are starting. We are hoping that from next year we are going to have a better community of angel investors here.
Good. What about Mexico? I know that there are big organizations of investors down there, right?
Yeah, I would say that in a way it's very similar to what all of you guys have been saying. We have some organizations. One of them is a chapter of a UK angel investment network. You have local brands. You have family offices. You have rich individuals who want to fund. There is not really a system, so in a way it really works on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on the startup and on the person or the organization that wants to fund the project at that starting stage. So in that way we still have to, as a country, we still have to get a bit more organized in procedures and things that we would like to evaluate and criteria that we would qualify the firm or the person as an angel investor, because nowadays is not standardized, and basically it really depends on the startup, the project that they're proposing, and the person that is evaluating and putting the money in the startup.
Sounds good. So we have another 5 questions, but we are running against the time. So we are going to be short in the next questions and the next answers. So let's go for the next one. Would you recommend an international startup to partner with a local? Is that the best way to enter to your country? So let's start with Junsu. What do you think?
Okay. Well, we recommend to the Peruvian people is one of the most entrepreneurs in the world. There are people who born entrepreneur, mostly by need. But we the Global Entrepreneur Monitor in 2014 put Peru in the 5th place of with more entrepreneurial activity in the world. They are most of that in entrepreneurship was by need, but now we are changing that to opportunity. And Peruvians are really hard work people and very creative people. And me, I'm from Spain, then I'm not Peruvian, and here I found really amazing partners for my business, and for me, I think it's a good recommendation to come here to meet the people and to partnership with them.
Okay, what about you, Marcus? Do you recommend to partner with a local in Chile?
I would always say depends, but you know, I would say if you want to build a business in Chile for Chile, I would recommend it because the network, the personal relationships in Latin America, as you all know, is very critical, and it can help you to accelerate and understand the culture, etc. because you can easily make mistakes when you don't understand that. So in that case, yes. In other cases, you know, specifically when it comes to ideas where you really want to go global, there is less experience here. So there I would not see it as a necessity. It's a possibility really when the Chilean market is critical for you, then I would say yes. Otherwise, I would say it's not critical.
Okay. What about you, Pedro? What do you think is critical for Mexico, for an international startup to partner with a Mexican?
I think similar to Chile, it really depends. First of all, I think there are great opportunities here in the Mexican market, and also I think that the Mexican market in a way is a good place to do a soft landing for Latin America. So I think there would be a great opportunity to partner with somebody that understands the culture of the region. However, I would choose very careful the person that I'm partnering with, because they really do have to know the market of the project that I'm pushing for, because expertise and the network that person is putting in the partnership is going to be very important. So I would say that yes, it would be a very good option, but you would have to choose very carefully according to the qualifications and the capabilities of your local partner.
Sounds good. What about you, Carlos? What do you think? Is it critical for Colombia to get a partner to enter to the country?
Yeah, taking into account that we're running out of time, the answer is yes. But that's it. I'll explain you later. But I mean, the answer is yes. I think it's a smart move when you're landing into a territory that you don't used to know. And each one of these countries is a good country to land and to go to Latin America as a market. But my recommendation is to not to how do you say that? It's like you have to carefully select your partner, and also you have to be in constant contact with the community and with the people before launching a project, and you have to involve the people in the creation of that new product or service. That's
good.
My main recommendation.
Thank you. So let's move to the this is not really, sometimes it's not easy to answer shortly, but how is it to create a company in your country? I know in Chile it's kind of 24 hours, but it's more difficult actually to get a bank account. So,
exactly. Yeah, there's not a lot to say. To create a company is relatively easy, but you know, if you then want to serve customers and offer them that they transfer money to your own account, that is very, very difficult. It took me a full year, even though I was able to offer securities, etc. So if you don't have a guarantor, a local guarantor, it's very, very difficult. So that is something you need to keep in mind. But there are other ways of getting to money, and so therefore there are always workarounds. But to establish a company, it's really easy.
Okay, what about in Peru? How long it takes to create a company in Peru?
Now it's real simple, almost the same in like in Chile, not 24 hours, but in 48, 72 hours you have your company up and running, and more because the government are doing a big effort to bring investors here and companies from outside, and they are giving a good opportunity, and they are helping to create companies in the country. At the same time, in Chile, there's another issues and another things that are more complicated. It's for that it's better to have a partner in here, but it's not so difficult to have a company up and running.
What about Mexico? How difficult is to get a company there in Mexico?
If the question is regarding like the banking processes and the legal processes and all that stuff, not 24 or 48, unfortunately, but it's very easy. You go to a notary public, he does the job, you pay the fee, and you're done. If you're talking about creating properly the company and operating on the market and the revenues, then that really depends, I guess, on the entrepreneur. But I would say it's not very difficult to legally establish a company. It's a bit more complicated even to liquidate than to create it.
Oh yeah, that's my experience in Colombia actually. Hey, Carlos, how is it to create a company in Colombia? How long it takes?
Okay, legally, unfortunately, we don't have like those good times that Peru and Chile do, but it's not going to take you longer than 2 weeks, and I think in the minimum is going to be 1 week.
Good. So let's move on to the next one, and this one is going to be, I don't know how you are going to make it shortest, but how do you describe the way of doing business in your ecosystem? Like, it's more, in my experience, it's more person to person, like it depends, you need to get introduced and things like that. It's the same in Colombia, Mexico, Chile, and Peru. Let's start with Mexico or Colombia.
Miriam, may I answer, because I really need to cut off. I need to go downtown. I have another client engagement at 3:30. Sure. It's 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, you already said it. You do a lot on the one-on-one introduction. It's very important to network proactively here. To learn the ecosystem. It's also, you need to have patience. Business decisions about investments are slow, and even slower when it's something new, something they have not done or have not seen before. Also, specifically when you come as a startup, very often they think because you really need to sell something, they need to get it for free. So this is also a problem, and therefore really the considerations is really build a network early on. Try to get some client testimonials early on. Try to get a few clients which are really speaking for you. That is huge of huge value. And of course, having also references of success are critical.
Sounds good. Thank you, Marcos. And I know you have to go. Before you go, could you please let know the audience how they can reach you out, or how is the best way to contact you?
Yeah. So the best way to contact me is through email. Of course, you also find me on LinkedIn if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I think my name is blended in, so the email, I'm not sure if I can type it somewhere. If there
I can pass it to the
yeah, if you can pass it to the audience, my company email address, Miriam, I would appreciate that. And as I said, anytime also through LinkedIn. And once you have my contact details, Miriam, you can also pass on my cell phone, my Chile cell phone. I'm also actively on WhatsApp, so even that is possible.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Marcos.
Thank you, everybody. You have a good rest of the call. It was a pleasure to participate.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's not going to take longer now.
Thank you.
So, guys, thank you. Guys, in Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, the way to do business is the same thing. It's also by reference, I guess. Or do you have any other tips that you can give to the audience of what they have to consider to do business in your country?
In Mexico specifically, one of the challenges has to do with trust. So I would say that the answer has to do with the last question. It really helps if you know someone local, because that person with their own network is going to help you navigate through the different things that you have to do and the different people that you have to start a relationship with. So basically it has to do with that networking, and then just having enough patience to understand that you have to build up a network in order to have a successful business.
Sounds good. Any other people around?
I agree. I just wanted to add that at least in my country, the people got melted when you give them a little present after the business meetings. But it has to be little. And after the business meeting.
Okay. Now, guys, we can move on to know how people can contact you in some point. If they want to contact you, how is the best way to contact Carlos in Colombia?
I think the best way for me is email and LinkedIn. And you have both addresses, so I appreciate if you type them, if you type it somewhere so people can have access.
Sounds good. What about you, John, too?
For me, the same. By email, in LinkedIn, Twitter too, any kind of internet. Now it's okay. In any way, here we are to help anybody that need it. We really thank you all to listen to us and to trust us. I don't know if they trust us, but
what about Pedro?
The company email, I think, would be a great option, and LinkedIn is also a very good way to be in touch for us. So please let me know if you guys need any help or you have any questions. Happy to help.
Yeah, actually, I have here a couple of questions, but I'm just going to select 2 or 3 of them because we don't have really much time. Lina Adams from Edmonton wants to ask a question for Carlos in Ruta N. She's asking if Ruta N has outside of Medellin any branches, or just in Medellin.
No, we are just in Medellin, but take into account that we are replying the model of Ruta N in different cities of Colombia. So we're talking about Cali, Bucaramanga, Cartagena, and Cúcuta. And internationally, we're working with cities like Quito and Panama. And we're in the process of signing an MOU with Tech Edmonton.
Good. Now, I have Mercedes Villegas. She's asking how you will choose a local partner. How do you research or find those partners? Would you say social media is the best way, or do you try, for example, to trade missions or to events to interact with, some first potential partners? What would you say is the best way to do it? Actually, she's asking in Mexico. So Pedro, what is the best way to find a partner in Mexico?
I think trade missions are a very good option. Usually those guys have a very clear view of the market. If you need any help from our ecosystem, happy to help. And also events. That's a very personal view, but if you have the opportunity to come to an event that has to do with the ecosystem or the industry, or the specific sector you wanna be part of in Mexico, then just having the opportunity to contact with that person directly. Maybe social media would help you do a screening. I really believe that just meeting in person and having someone screen that area before, that'd be even better.
Good. Now we have the last question. It's actually for Jansu, and Lara from Toronto is asking what kind of financial support has the government of Peru for startups. I will suggest it may be something related with the Startup Peru, right?
Yeah. The main support that is given the government is that Startup Peru. That is an event that they do annually. I think this year they're going to do it twice, and they're wanting to invest around $10 million, $20 million during this next 2 or 3 years. I think it's a great opportunity because there's not a lot of startups in Peru. that is going to help a lot if you come to Peru and you have an idea here and you have a startup. But we have more things in here. We have, for example, Startup Peru. We have to Lima Valley Startup Academy, and even the universities are starting to create their own small incubators in the universities, and it's not a bad idea too. For example, us in UPC, in UPC, we have Start UPC, but there's more. The CIDECAP, the Emprende UP of the University of Pacifico, Bio in Cuba. We are trying a lot in this ecosystem to start to grow, and the government really are doing a good job. We have a long way to go, but the idea is to promote startups as much as possible.
Thank you so much for that, Jonsu, and thank you everybody. Thank you for joining us for a little bit more than an hour here answering questions about Latin America and the Pacific Island countries. We hope the audience will connect with you with more questions if they have more. Actually, I have more, but we don't have time right now. So we'll send you the questions to be answered privately. And please remember, next Tuesday, December 15, we are going to have another webinar, but this time about Brazil. So we are going to talk about how it's doing business there in Brazil. Thank you so much, everybody, and we keep in contact. Bye now.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.